Howdy, guys. I love Tuesdays. It is time for Stall Talk. Man, these things just keep adding up. We are at episode number 27, and this week is going to be another fire topic. Michael, do you have any questions for him?
Well, first of all, Jordan, I commend you for reaching out and becoming part of Stall High. This is just an incredible opportunity for you and all of us to continue to share and try our best to help people and their horses. What I'm seeing a little bit, not as much on the first, but well, right there I do. When you are coming to the barrel, it looks, when you bring your shoulders to the inside, your weight is pulling this horse, even though you're smaller, it's pulling this horse right into the barrel. Mm-hmm. It looks to me anyway. So I might try to, and I'll follow your lead on this Kendra, but I might try to sit more centered and not. Now, right there, you almost put your weight in your outside sit bone and your outside stirrup, but coming in, you were kind of leaning to the inside, which collapses between your armpit and your hip. It shortens, you collapse to your rib cage, and that just is enough to draw that horse right into that barrel. So I think if you were to sit up more and stay a little bit more in the center, if anything, drop your weight just a little bit to this outside stirrup, it might help him stand up more, because it looks to be that he's got the speed, obviously, but your weight just is enough to throw him off coming into that first, therefore where he's dropping that shoulder. And it looks to me that once you go around it, all your energy is coming out as outside hip. That energy is just coming right out that hip. And that is creating just enough of a pause right there.
Oh, I see it.
Just enough of a pause right there that energy, you're wasting energy. And therefore, forward impulsion is being compromised just ever so slightly. And when he raises his head, that weight goes to his forehand. He hollows his back out, and that energy right there goes right out that outside hip.
Forward impulsion compromised. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for using big words for leveling us up, right? As horsemen, as riders, as stewards of our horses, horsewomen.
I also think that, like, I can feel it when he stops right there, like where it gets, where that comes out on the backside, and that's when I feel like I have to help him, because he stops there and he's not I can't keep him moving right through that point. So when he stops, then I feel like he's not going to finish it, and I need to help him.
And that's totally understandable. I can see and feel exactly where you're coming from with that. But I think if your body's telling you to do that, try to, in that moment, take as big a breath as you can, exhale it, slow your mind down, and shift your weight just a little bit, which will help him be able to stand up just a little bit more and pick that inside shoulder up and not waste that energy coming out his outside hip. Because that outside leg is coming back here out, and that is creating enough instability in his overall conformation at that moment to compromise, disrupt just for a second that forward impulsion, which is giving you the feel like he's stalling out. He's losing that forward impulsion, and he is. Anytime the head comes up and they get rigid through their lower jaw, through their atlas and axis, which is responsible for all this kind of movement, it's hindering his ability to be able to balance himself, to come up through his forehand, to get those hind legs underneath him, to push off. So you're right on track. What I would try to do is just when you feel you got to pick him up, just do the opposite. Just give it to him. And because he needs to use his head and neck as an aid to impulsion and an aid to balance. And anytime that comes up, his head comes up and he locks through his jaw and that atlas and axis is compromised, that's going to create that stalling out effect, and he's hollowing his back out. So if you can get up and close your hip angle as needed, but keep your seat centered, and if anything, drop a little weight just to the outside, just for a moment, I suspect you'll see him be able to come into the barrel better and come around the backside, but more importantly than that, not stall out and come out of that straighter, more balanced, and not compromising forward impulsion.
I'm nerding out right now. Y'all let me know if you love this. I absolutely love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. 100% agree. Jordan, I believe he is just hitting a really strong bullseye on what you're feeling. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. He is absolutely correct. Michael, thank you for speaking as a rodeogi. You talked about, I've never heard anybody say it like this. Okay. From your armpit to your hip, from your armpit to your hip, be aware of what's happening. If our rib cage is crunching a little bit, if we're kind of dropping it or compressing, just that little teeny tiny movement. It's just like in yoga. If you've ever taken a yoga class with a skilled, experienced yogi, someone who really knows how to teach you the art of yoga, I personally call it rodeoga, you're going to understand how a very, very micro movement can have a really big result. And so when you start to focus on how those micro movements are happening while you're running, and that's the challenge, right? Just say, can we do it fast? You're first going to identify it slow. And that's what you've been doing, Jordan, is doing the program, slowing it back down to a walk. Your mind is going to tell you, and you've already said it, I don't see how he's going to make it. Like he's going so fast, I don't see how he's going to make it without me. I'm going to challenge you to speed up. I know he's got a pro rodeo motor and I understand what that feels like. And your brain is saying, we're going to run through that wall. He is not going to make it. Is that right, Jordan?
Yeah.
Okay. Let him go. If he goes through the wall, it's better than him having a bad experience in your hands. The success of a turn is always determined in the beginning. How well your horse can finish any turn depends on how well you can help him navigate the approach. And so by keeping that, Michael's calling it the forward impulsion, instead of worrying about, are we going to make it? Instead, shift your focus on that forward impulsion and keeping that motor rolling. So right now, you see how you're leaning forward and your hind end is disengaged. Your feet are behind you. And Michael, do you agree that that's exactly what he's about to mimic?
Absolutely. Right here in this still, you have bent your knee and brought your lower leg up. And what he is sharing with me as I'm watching, he needs more support of your outside leg right there. He needs to know if you were just to drop your foot, keep your weight in your heels, that's going to help him not be inclined to let that energy, as you approach the second barrel, come out his left hip. So you're closing your hip angle, but right there, so your leg is still back, even around the barrel, and it doesn't come down till there. And so all his energy is going out his left side. And when you collapse through your rib cage on the right and bring your shoulders to the inside just for that moment, it brings him down, and you're losing energy and forward impulsion right there coming out of the backside of that barrel. getting straight coming into your third. Now, right there, his head's to the outside. He's dropping the shoulder, although he's trying. He's doing his best. So go a little more. See right there. See, you dropped your shoulder. This leg isn't supportive. Your outside leg, your left leg, is not supporting him like he needs it to. And therefore, he's trying to do his best. But there, he dropped that shoulder because that head came up and his nose tipped out, and he just dropped that shoulder ever so slightly. So come in again. Now, if you were to stay right there and not drop your shoulders.
Keep your feet behind you. And keep the forward impulsion, right? So hit the gas.
Keep the forward impulsion, yes, correct.
Where you're thinking, as soon as you look at that barrel, Jordan, pick your eyes up and hit the gas.
Yep.
And every cell in your body is going to say, no, Kendra, I don't feel safe doing that. But that's going to help him, Michael, do you agree? Stay level. Yes. And keep traveling enough so that he gets into what I call the safety zone. And I love how you said that. Just center your hips and they'll reflect that. He'll ride more centered, which means he'll reach more instead of activating the turn or turning on his signal a fraction of a second too early. Because the beginning of these barrels can be improved, okay? The angles are not set up for success for him right now. That's why you feel like you have to help him at the backside, Jordan. When you feel confident and competent to fix the approach, the backside will take care of itself. All right, let's keep going. And it will be liquid, so much easier than you think. And they will surprise you at how much they know and how much they're willing to do on their own without you coming to assist or coming to complete the job for them.
Can we back it up just for a moment?
Yes, sir.
That's at all possible? A little bit more? A little bit more? A little bit. All right. Now start coming forward, please. Right there. Right there. He already is going to hit the barrel. See how stretched out he is with that inside four? I don't see this inside hind, this diagonal pair, coming underneath enough to pick him up. And therefore, that's right there tells me he's going to hit the barrel. Because he's stretched out. His balance is compromised just a little bit. And I would like to see him be able to stretch his neck out just a little bit more and lower that head if possible. And I'll elaborate on that in a moment with the rein length. But that's where he's doing it. So it's one of those things that you want to help him understand how he can come back and rate and come back to you. And as he comes back, he stands up. And if he can stand up a little bit more through his forehand right here, he's going to be able to make that barrel come around and keep that forward impulsion and be able to come out the backside of that barrel and have the energy, the impulsion, the power. So you lost power right there, granted, as you hit the barrel, but have the power on that backside to come out, get straight, and run for home.
Okay, so let's keep going a little bit. And you'll see there's a direct line on the rein. Jordan, I also noticed that you cross midline. So right before, I saw your inside hand cross over his mane to the outside of his body. That's a very traditional move. That's what I was taught to do. That's what a lot of riders still do. However, that defies the physiology of the horse. And like Michael said, their natural balance. So it seems to work in a pinch, but are you getting your horse to the highest level of his capacity or his potential? Here's the second run. So this was day 2. Now we're going to slow it down. And I believe I've got 2 frames coming, which should be interesting to watch side by side. Leanna, do you want to chime in here, my dear?
Well, one, I think that all of this conversation is so powerful. And Jordan, I want to commend you for being so highly self-aware, and you are listening to your horse. That's first and foremost. And you are asking yourself, how can I better meet and show up for my horse? And his name's
Goose.
Goose. Okay.
Would it be really, really creative? A gray horse named Goose, but I didn't name him.
Well, I love that in so many ways. That was actually one of Michael's dearest horses to him. So Goose has a very special meaning. That this horse is actually here to level you up. That's the exciting part of this conversation. And you're able to learn here that the shifts, the small shifts that you make in your own body is the biggest tool you can have. Not even more so than your hands, because your hands are an extension to the dynamics that are going into your body as the tool, your spine as the tuning fork. And so you're learning here that the small nuances of your body internally moving are going to affect the movement patterns of your horse. So just as Michael brought up that the atlas and the axis, we don't want it compromised, we want it free flowing. I would also ask you, as you're practicing or doing your runs, what is your atlas and axis doing?
Woo!
See, because you become a mirror for each other in your movement patterns.
What? Hang on. So you said that the internal movements, let me back you up a minute. These internal movements determine.
These internal movements and these nuances, these small shifts in your movement shapes the energy of your horse.
Okay.
And it directly affects the movement pattern of your horse, so that you two are beginning to mirror you're trying to come in sync, and I see it because he really is here. Goose is here to level you up, girl. There is no doubt, which is it's so exciting to know that we're able to witness this and come alongside of you. And for you to learn this information, Jordan, is just going to open up your world, because he's wanting his world to open, but he wants your world to open up as well.
So good. Okay, now take us to atlas and axis. You said it must be, for him, it must be free range or fluid. What did you say? And then you connected it to us.
Sure. So the atlas and the axis is that whole concept of if that is dynamic and moving freely, so can the rest of the capacity for our spine to move freely as well, right? And then Michael can talk about how it reflects to the horse, but the key component there is when he said, notice the atlas and the axis is compromised. My thought immediately, Jordan, went for you is, I wonder what her atlas and axis is doing, because you become a mirror. Opening up your internal state allows the horse the space and capacity to open up into his as well. And so it becomes not so much a conversation of, I need to help him. Your conversation begins to go into so deeply internal to this somatic place of, I'm here with you. I'm opening my body up as well, right? Or I'm moving my body as well. So the conversation begins to take a more, what I call a somatic conversation versus a cognitive conversation of, how can I help you? I'm going to pull up here. I'm going to do this, right? It's very different. It's like a dance, if you will. And it's lovely to see this and have this kind of conversation, because where else do these kind of conversations happen? I would venture to say not very many places.
It helps us all become better horsemen and horsewomen. If you're interested in attending Moody Mare Makeover Clinic, you can attend in person. There's only one spot left, or you can watch from the convenience of home. Sign up right now at moodymaremakeover.com. And a special thank you to Merhow Trailers. Once you pull a Merhow,